Welcome everybody to a Wednesday night edition. My glasses. Anyway, a Wednesday night edition of Talking Iowa Hawkeye Sports. We're happy to have you guys. We're getting really close to getting our 800 subscribers. So keep subscribing, hitting the button, share this out. And I just thought about this because somebody asked me about an audio version of this show, and I think I'm going to get some help to learn how to convert the YouTube version into audio so that you guys can listen to it on um, Apple, Amazon, or Spotify, wherever you like to listen your audio stuff. But I just thought about this. You guys could, you can still listen to it in your car when you're commuting somewhere, working in your garage, working in your yard, working in the house, painting, whatever you guys are doing. You can still listen to it like it's audio. You can just put it on your phone, click the YouTube, bring us up, and you can still listen to us. Just like it was audio until we start getting an audio version. But I promise you, by season 5, which starts in August, of this show. But by the way, you can't believe we're coming up on season 5 already. But season 5 we'll have audio to go along with our video. For those of you guys who really enjoy the audio. So that's going to be really nice. So another change is coming. I'm going to have a different music and different clips. I think it's time to put Jordan Bohannon and Clayton Clark to rest and move on to some modern day Hawkeyes. Yeah. Darn it. Callie's not a Hawkeye anymore. I can't put her on my next clip.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Callie, when Jan, by the way, that interview was only 30 minutes long, but I think she answered 4 questions the whole time.
She is such Randazzo. He made the comment. He said, "You guys ought to edit or something." He said, "You only got you didn't get hardly any questions in there, or make her stay for an hour and a half." They asked her. She asked her the question about recruiting Stromdel, and she talked for 10 minutes, nothing to do with Stromdel. And then right at the very end, she goes, "Oh, Lysandra Barrett kind of found her, and we got her." That was it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, she. During that interview at the beginning, she couldn't even think of the girl's name. She goes, "Yeah, we got that Sweden girl." Yeah. She couldn't even think of her name before she goes. Then she finally came up with it. It's just like, I don't know if maybe she wasn't excited about getting her after all.
Oh, I think she after she met her, she said, "Oh, she's taller than we thought, than posted, and so nice and long arms." She said, "I think she's excited. I think she's excited about anybody that's on the team."
Yeah. Well, this might be a good spot to segue into real quick. I know we're going to do football first, but let's talk about the Iowa game in Sioux City against Vanderbilt real quick.
Oh.
Yeah, that's going to happen November something. I think like a couple days before or after the.
It's the same day as the Creighton men's game.
Cool.
They play at 3:00 in the afternoon. I don't know if that's local time.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure every time you get a time, it's local.
The reason I said that was because I seen the 3:00 posted on the Vanderbilt's website.
And that might be, that's Eastern time.
Vanderbilt might be in Eastern time, right? But anyway, it's 3 or 4 o'clock, and then it's on a Sunday, the 15th, and then that evening we get to watch the Hawkeye men play Creighton, 7 o'clock or something.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say is both the UConn game and the Vanderbilt game are practically right on top of each other. So
that's what you were going to talk about. I thought you were mentioning the men's game. Okay.
No. I did not realize that the men's Creighton game was the next day. But have you noticed that Jan's trying to beef up her schedule, as is McCollum? Oh my God.
Yeah, I think they're kind of going away from them holiday tournament things, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, cut down on travel costs because now all the universities have to save money to pay that revenue share.
Yeah.
You
Well, not
know,
only that, but they got that, and the fact that now the teams can now go their overseas trip instead of once every 4 years. They can go anytime they want now.
yeah. And
You
Iowa
know,
ain't gonna,
I
Iowa ain't
still
gonna
don't
do
think
it.
Iowa's going to go once every 4 years.
When you get
Everybody,
when you got a program that's losing, women's basketball sells out, but they lose $3 million a year. You ain't gonna spend $500,000 to go on an overseas trip because when they go on an overseas trip, they end up taking like 40, 50 people with them. You know, counting the team and family,
the
and
family, yeah, and boyfriends probably.
it's a waste of money. I could
Yeah.
understand every 4 years when you have it's like the year after Danny Carnegie and Chit Chat uh, graduate. You want to take a foreign trip because you're going to be missing like 7 starters, and you got them young people need time to play together. That's when you take a foreign trip usually, but
Yeah. And I
anyway.
know that Jan talked about too in that interview about that they got to put some cupcakes. She didn't use that word,
Mhm.
cupcakes, on the schedule because she has to have games where she can play everybody. But
That's it.
why didn't she do that last year? She didn't play everybody last year when she had the opportunity.
I don't remember. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
She did a couple games, but there were games where we were blowing out teams, even in the Big Ten.
Mhm.
Some people never
Mhm.
got off the bench more than 7 or
Yeah.
8 deep.
I just remember she had to be using the bench because early in the season she was missing like 3 of her best players. Chit Chat got that concussion and didn't play for seemed like 2 weeks,
And Emily
and
Rodriguez.
Emily Rodriguez wasn't the only one. Tegan Mullaney didn't play for 3-4 weeks with her bad ankle and then tonsillitis. That's why Journey Houston, she gave Journey Houston a shot, and holy cow, watch her, look at her play.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, that's what she took advantage of it. She went out there and she earned her minutes.
yeah, I know a lot of people when the season started, they were saying, "Oh, Callie Levine's gonna redshirt this year," and
That actually was on the table until Jan changed her mind. I think the early season injuries, maybe or maybe she'd
I
already
think
changed her mind.
I think the reason is that they know that players are going to get 5 years to play.
Yeah, she
So
might have known that back then too.
well, we know that 5 year deal's coming.
Hmm.
The ADs have meetings with the NCAA, and Kirk's been wanting it for 10 years, and they know that's coming, and it'd be a waste of Callie's time to redshirt
Yeah,
because she's only
yeah,
getting 5 years anyway. She might as well be out there practicing and getting and trying to play.
yeah.
You
I thought it was kind of cool when Jan said that she wished all of her players really good luck, but she says we got to face 3 of them. So she goes, I hope they do well this season, but I don't want them doing well against us.
know. But
Uh,
getting back to Vanderbilt is putting another elite team on the schedule. It helps your RPI, your net, whatever they go
mhm.
by anymore. And even if you lose, it helps you.
Yeah. Well, I
You know,
just
I
noticed that we're starting to schedule more elite teams, more, I mean, more than just the bottom of the rung of the ACC or the bottom of the rung of the SEC or the Pac-12. Or
yeah,
I noticed that both coaches are starting to do that, and
mhm.
so, but
I,
yeah,
I,
and they said that UConn reached out to Iowa
yeah.
for the home and home, and they say that's really hard to find people willing to come to your home to play.
But
Like
UConn,
nobody wants to travel to UConn knowing what's going to
yeah,
happen to you.
UConn, as I said on the last podcast, is it's a special case study because their conference is so bad that they got to play a really good non-conference schedule. They're going to play. They probably played UCLA last year, Texas, or they probably played a lot of really good teams in the non-conference last year.
Hmm.
Because their conference sucks. It really does. You
Yeah.
know.
It just sounds like that most teams are starting to beef up their schedules a little bit, where
Yeah.
before they were dumbing them down because they got rid of the RPI and went with the net ranking and the quad 1, quad 2, quad 3, quad 4.
But when you dumb down, when you play that bad team, you better beat them by 40, or it hurts you in your net. So
I agree.
you don't want to be Fran McCaffrey and lose to Western Illinois or whoever he lost to that time. At Carver Hawkeye Arena.
Yeah.
So another thing I want to point out is UConn will be a top 5, 3, 4 team like they always are. They're just packed. Their roster is packed with top players, and top foreign players are on their team now. And they're not a big transfer school, but Vanderbilt is also, in my opinion, a top 6 team next year. They got the best backcourt in the country with Galvin, who's a great high school player, guard, and then Blake's is her name.
Yeah,
leading score. Yeah. She's like, Vandy would call her the Caitlin Clark of the SEC. She's going to break Caitlin's scoring record and all that, which who knows? But
you said Juju Watkins was going to do that.
They have everybody's going to do it, but they won't. Unless they play 5 years, they'll beat it easy. But if they're that good a scorer, they should be in the WNBA.
Yeah. Well, I think like Juju Watkins will probably leave after her junior year because she'll be eligible age-wise, because that would technically be her senior year.
So, okay. Is she going to be a junior next year, or is she a senior next year?
No, she's going to be this next season. She will be a junior, but because she medical redshirted, she's considered a sophomore.
Okay.
Because she sat out her sophomore year.
Anyway, what I was going to say was Vanderbilt's got the best backcourt maybe in the nation, and then they got 6'6" center who's very good returning. And then they got the great power forward. If you remember watching Georgia play Virginia, the 6'3" power forward that was at Georgia, Vanderbilt got her in the transfer portal.
I saw that.
And then they have a swing wing. Their small forwards, a transfer who was a conference, I don't know if it was Southland Conference Player of the Year. She's really good. So we know they got a really good starting bunch like Iowa does. And
I'm anxious to see what Iowa can do against the big teams. We're gonna have 2 early looks at this team, but maybe too early. But maybe they'll improve upon the season. But I'm anxious to see because this starting 5 is better than the starting 5 we had this year. I don't know how quickly Volitsko. I'd like Volitsko to have had a couple weeks of playing games before running into these 2 behemoths, because she's not ready physically as far as strength. I don't know that we're that. Replacing Hannah Stolke, she was a beast. I don't know. I just think it's too early to look real good against them 2 teams, but what do I know? I'm no expert. Yeah, I agree with you, because we're going to probably have hardly any cupcakes under our belt. I think we play a couple of scrimmages or a scrimmage before that.
Yeah.
Well, let's get, by the way, Terry Walker says, great eye contact tonight. Calvin the Killer, he's very proud of you.
Oh. Well, I wasn't looking at the camera, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Great eye contact.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's move on to football, because we're excited about football tonight.
Can I get 3 news things out before we do our deep dive?
Yes.
Okay. Something I found out today, and this guy, I think his name is Brad Holmes, who does a young man who's just in college or getting out of college does something called a round table. He'll post his stuff on Hawkeye sites, and a lot of times he puts it on Jason's site. I think his name's Brad Holmes. I visited with him a little bit. I said, "Hey, if you ever want to come on our podcast, you know." He pointed out something, and a lot of things don't get by me much, but tonight the NBA Finals is starting. I ain't watching it. I ain't much into NBA, but the coach at the San Antonio Spurs is Mitch Johnson. I didn't know he was John Johnson's son.
No
The
kidding.
great John Johnson at Iowa, one of the 4 or 5 greatest players that ever played at Iowa. You young people don't know that, but John was just unbelievable scorer, passer, 6'6", and I think he was like the 3rd pick in the NBA draft. Anyway, him and Fred Brown were quite the twosome.
They were. That's
on that great team. But isn't that interesting, Dean?
That is. I'll have to look more up about him. I don't know what college he went to play.
Stanford.
Really?
I don't think he was anything. I don't think he was.
To Hawkeyes.
I remember John and Fred Brown both had boys that were being recruited by Tom Davis at the same time, and Fred Brown Jr. did come to Iowa, but he just wasn't good. And John Johnson's older boy, be older than this Mitch, wasn't good enough. But Mitch would have come. He would have been there when Alford. I think he would have come to Iowa maybe 2003, 2004 in there someplace. But he ended up going to Stanford. I never heard anything about him. I follow recruiting. I don't think he was anything great, like a 6'1" guard or something. But that just knocked me over today. I thought, I read that, and then I shared it to your site because it was already on Jason's and Iowa basketball. And I don't like sharing things that's already been shared, especially by the author. You know, to me that's.
Well, you know what else? You know what else too?
What?
You don't want to get accused of being a bot and getting your account taken away from you.
I know that. You know.
I don't think anybody really knows the story there. What happened?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. It's like somebody today. I posted about Jelena Guy, you know, the girl who's one of the very top players in the country. She'll be a junior this year. Mm-hmm. Sophomore. She's from Clinton, Iowa, and she decommitted from Stanford, and I posted it when she decommitted, and this guy down here said, "Oh, you're posting fake stuff," and I go, "No." I said, "The picture right there is from her Instagram. She posted it herself." You know, but people will accuse you of that because they're dumb.
Yeah.
All they had to do is research it themselves. But yeah. Oh, the other piece of news was some group. I couldn't figure out what group, but they named Beth one of the top ADs in the country today. It came out like an hour ago or something, and I think
a little longer than that. I saw that earlier today.
Yeah, but anyway, I just think that's great, And then the other little news was Cedric Shaw and Amy Herrig-Tinney both going into the Hall of Fame with others. But I pointed them out because Cedric Shaw, I don't know why he wasn't in the Hall of Fame a long time ago, the all-time leading rusher at Iowa. Tavian Banks is probably already in the Hall of Fame, and Cedric Shaw was so much better than him. Kept Tavian on the bench for 3 years. It's like, there's these young people out there that don't know crap. They'll say Tavian Banks, he's the best running back. Well, Tavian Banks compared to Cedric Shaw, that means you don't know anything about football. Because Tavian Banks was not a good blocker, didn't run the right play, couldn't run wasn't strong up the middle in the tackles unless he had a big hole. And Cedric Shaw was a warrior. He was like a skinnier Walter Payton. He just knock you on your rear end if you tried blitzing and getting to Matt Sherman. And great runner. One of the most storied games in the history of Iowa football, if you had the inside information, was Cedric. I don't know if he was a junior or what. We played Michigan State, and Michigan State had a very good team that year. And Cedric Shaw had a separated shoulder, and he wasn't going to play. And Shaw got dressed for the game, and he walks up to Hayden, and he says, "I'm playing." Hayden says, "You ain't." The doctors say you ain't playing, and Cedric says, "I'm playing." So Donnie Patterson and Hayden said, "Well, okay," and they put him in, and he carried the ball. He set an Iowa record in that game. I think he carried the ball 42 times for 228 yards or something. It was ridiculous. He just carried the team, and he's a great one. Then Amy Herrig-Tinney, great player for Angie Lee. She was out of Dubuque. She might have played first year for Vivian. I'm not sure. But she was Big Ten Freshman of the Year and then honorable mention All-American, a great player. But her, the Iowa basketball program kind of went down her junior and senior year at Iowa.
So did she play for like Angie Lee then or something?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know if she even played a year for Vivian. She might have. But she was like 6'4", a great player. And she'd have got more honors if the team would have been more successful, there at the end
the
of
team not being successful, it was not Angie Lee's fault. The players just didn't want to play for Angie and they quit.
And whatever. I don't know. But I don't want to say things that I know. But anyway, Amy was a great player and a great warrior. She played all 4 years hard. And anyway, Amy Herrig, when I posted it on your site, I said, "Congratulations to Amy going into the Hall of Fame." And then I go, "I hope your daughter comes to Iowa and both of you can be in the Hall of Fame someday." Because her daughter is like a freshman in high school this upcoming year. And she's literally on the USA basketball team already. Her last name's Tinney. And anyway, she's like one of the top 5 players in her class. A guard, I think. But anyway.
Yeah. You guys out there, you guys can leave comments and questions if you want. So far, I don't see anything except the few that Terry posted.
Yep. But those were my little news bits I wanted to get out of the way before the show got over and I forgot all about them.
All righty. Okay. So let's get into these, the Big Ten deep dive. We want to try to predict every team's record and where they would fall in the standings. I'm going to first talk about Athlon a little bit and what they had. Mm-hmm. Their predicted order of finish, and I disagree with some of this. And you guys will see that when I give my takes. Ohio State, number 1. Indiana, number 2. Oregon Ducks, 3. Michigan, 4. That's one I don't agree with, but I'll go over that and my reasons why later. Yeah. USC 5, Washington 6, Penn State 7, Iowa 8, Illinois 9, Nebraska 10, Minnesota 11, UCLA 12, 13 is Wisconsin, 14 is Northwestern, 15 is Maryland, and by the way, I have Maryland at 17. Rutgers at 16, Michigan State at 17. I think they're better than that. And then Purdue in last place, which is where I got them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do I want to look at here? Okay. What was I looking at earlier? Oh yeah. So I noticed that they have the top 10 transfers in the league. Well, should probably come over here where I can be seen, huh? Yes. Okay.
Eye contact. You got to make eye contact.
Yeah. Yeah.
How
Okay.
you gonna
Josh
read
Hoover,
off your? How
quarterback
you
for
gonna read off?
Indiana.
How you gonna read off your sheet and make eye contact?
Yeah.
It's like
I'm gonna
impossible.
try. Okay. Josh Hoover, the quarterback from Indiana, is ranked as the top player in the transfer portal. Signing John Henry Daly, a defensive lineman. He came from Utah. Now he's at Michigan. But I guess he's really a good force to be up there with, and and I'm not really high on Michigan this year. Although I agree that they've got them a hell of a coach, and so I could be surprised. The Michigan may surprise a few people, but their schedule is daunting. It's probably one of the more daunting schedules I looked at this year as I was looking. Nick Marsh is a wide receiver, also going to Indiana, and he jumped ship from Michigan State. I hate that when they stay in the same conference.
Yeah,
Coy Perch.
He's one hell of a player.
Yeah. Coy Perch is number 4. He left Minnesota to go to Oregon. Well, I don't blame him. Go to Oregon to be a winner.
Yeah.
Get tired of listening to the crap that Fleck spills out.
Yeah, you'd be good to be a winner and get $5 million.
Yeah. Okay. Number 5. Interesting. Rocco Beck. Quarterback. Everybody knows that he was Iowa State and he beat Iowa the last 2 years they played.
He's a great player too.
Yeah, he's at Penn State. He has 39 starts. Big game experience will ease his transition into the Big Ten. Well, Colton Joseph, number 6, another QB. Going to Wisconsin from Old Dominion. Joseph is one of only 4 returning signal callers who ran for 1,000 yards in 2025. So it sounds like this guy's more of a runner. That's kind of different for Wisconsin football, wouldn't you say? Having their quarterback run. Usually they're just game managers at Wisconsin.
Yeah, see if he can overcome the poor coaching.
I think I got Wisconsin a little better than what they do here. James Smith, number 7, defensive lineman, left Alabama to come to Ohio State. He's a big body disruptor among the latest group to join the Buckeyes from Bama.
Yeah.
Okay. Toby Osanami, another defensive lineman at Indiana, and he came from Kansas State. Osamini, I had it right once, and now I messed it up.
Yeah.
Pass rushing prowess addresses an area of need after NFL departures.
Thank you, Mark Cuban.
Anthony Caladeria, another quarterback. He's at Nebraska, and he was from UNLV. UNLV is usually a pretty good offensive-minded team, so this guy can probably play. He's Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year. So I'm sure that transitioning to Nebraska is probably better than who left to go to Oregon just to be a backup.
And enjoy being coached by that bunch.
Well, now he's got what's his name? Chip Kelly?
No, Chip Kelly's at Northwestern.
Yeah, that's right. I messed that one up. Okay.
You sure did.
Yes, I did. Caton Hauser, another quarterback for Illinois, coming from East Carolina, back in the Big Ten on the heels of a career as both a passer and a runner. Back in the Big Ten, where did he come? Where did he go before East Carolina?
Michigan State.
Dang.
I heard Brett talk about him yesterday. He is a big guy, a lot bigger than, looks more like a quarterback than Altenberger did. I think his name was Altenberger. That was their quarterback last year. He said he's a big guy, can run better than Altenberger, fast, big, prototypical, strong-armed, big guy. You know.
Well, Illinois will only be as good as this quarterback, as will Iowa only be as good as whatever quarterback we have. I saw something today, a guy making his opinion about Iowa's 2 quarterbacks and said, we should just do both. Don't have a starter. Let them both play. Use their strength in each. Have a set of design plays for each one.
Depends on who this guy was. I don't know. If he's a football expert, that's fine. If he's just a talking head like Calvin Fisher or Chad Listico, I wouldn't listen to him. Well, I'm just lumping us non-experts into a big group,
Yeah.
So.
There you go. Okay. Recruiting rankings by school. This is also there. Number 1 is USC, second in the nation. Number 2 is Ohio State, fourth in the nation. Number 3 is Oregon, sixth in the nation. Number 4 is Michigan, 11th in the nation. Number 5 is Washington, 14th in the nation. Iowa comes in at number 6, 18th in the nation. That's got to be our highest national recruiting ever.
I don't know what they're talking about. Are they just talking about high school kids, or are they throwing the portal guys in with them? I don't know. But.
I doubt, seriously, judging by some of this, that they're throwing the portal guys in.
Okay.
Because number 1, Indiana is number 7 and ranked 20th. Minnesota's 23 at number 8. Number 9, Illinois at 28 nationally. Rutgers is number 10, number 37. 11th place is Purdue with 48 nationally. God, that seems awful high for Purdue. 12 is Michigan State and 49 nationally. Maryland comes in at number 13, 51. Northwestern 14, 52 nationally. Here's one that shocks you. Number 15, Penn State, 58 nationally, but this probably has to do with the fallout and the transitional of the coach.
They had a great recruiting class that would have signed last year, but then they all went to Virginia Tech, with their other coach. So
16 is UCLA, number 64. Wisconsin, number 17, number 71 in the nation. And last but least is Nebraska at number 18, 123rd nationally. Are you telling me that Nebraska's gotten to the point where they can't get any decent recruits? They had a bunch of talent. They just not been coached correctly.
Yeah, I think it was a small class, and they had a terrible recruiting year.
All righty.
Okay.
So where do you want to start with this? Do you want to just start with your rankings and your
I don't
record?
know I don't know. Do you want to give how you see the Big Ten as far as the team's records and?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah,
let's do that.
I don't want to talk all the time, so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me do mine. Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. I got Ohio State 10-2. Yes, 10-2.
Mhm.
And tied with Oregon for first place at 10-2. Tied with Penn State at 10-2. Okay. Oregon and Ohio State speaks for themselves. Penn State 10-2 because they got a lousy record. I mean, a lousy
schedule. Do you have Ohio State?
They are going to be the fake ID of college football this year, guys. Remind me of that.
Do you remember? Do you have Ohio State beating Texas or losing?
Let me go back and look. I probably have them losing.
Because that would move them. That would move them above Oregon into first place, and Indiana into first place in the Big Ten.
Yep, I got them losing at Texas.
Okay, so
the only game I got them losing in the Big Ten is Indiana.
Okay, so you have Ohio State as the Big Ten champion then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now Oregon at 10-2. Their 2 losses are to Ohio State and to Michigan. Don't ask me why. I misread this, but I honestly should give Michigan a loss there. But for some reason that Oregon's got them at home, and I think Michigan actually loses that game. So I'm going to give Michigan another loss and Oregon another win.
I'd be surprised if Michigan keeps it within 18 points myself. I really would, because Oregon is just loaded this year.
Yeah. So I'm going to move Oregon to 11-1. So now they're back tied for first place. I'm taking a win from Michigan.
Yep.
And where's that
Make-
at? Where'd I got them?
Make a note of that. So
Okay. So Michigan is going to have a losing record.
yeah, I got pretty close to that, but not quite a losing record.
Okay. Yeah, and let's just go over why. As long as I got this
Mhm.
open, let's go over why I got Michigan losing.
Mhm.
Okay.
You don't like their quarterback.
No.
Oh,
Their schedule's tough.
yeah.
Okay. Their quarterback's probably going to have a pretty decent year.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got them winning their first game against Michigan, Western Michigan. Okay. Oklahoma. I got that as a loss, even though they got Oklahoma at home.
Me too.
Okay. UTEP I got as a win. Okay. I got them losing to the Hawkeyes.
Mhm.
I don't know. I've been saying that since day one, but we'll see.
Mhm.
I got them losing at Minnesota.
Mhm.
I have them beating Penn State, losing to Indiana, winning at Rutgers, winning Michigan State at home, and then losing to Oregon on the road. UCLA is a win at home, and then of course they lose to Ohio State on the road. And so their schedule is not that.
So do you have them like 7-6 or 6-6 or 7-5? What do you?
I moved them to 5-7 just now.
You only had them at 4-8.
No, I had them at 6-6.
Oh, but you took a win away from them, the Oregon game. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why I was doing that. I told you yesterday when I did this, I probably have to go back and readjust it.
That's fine. This is too early anyway. You know, we can do one in August or something, but go ahead with it. Run on down through your Big Ten teams. So.
Okay, I got Indiana at 9-3.
Mhm.
I know that people aren't expecting that big of a drop off. I got them at number 4 in the Big Ten.
Mhm.
Okay, here we go. Alrighty. Now they're going to probably be ranked in the top 2 or 3 all year because I got them on starting the season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 wins in a row to start the season. So they'll be 7-0 before they go to Michigan and lose. And then Minnesota, I think they'll beat. I think they'll lose to USC, even though that's at home. You know, I think USC is going to be as advertised this year. It's this year or bust. And I think they'll lose at Washington because I don't think Washington's going to lose a lot of games at home this year. So I don't think Indiana will win that game, but I could be surprised. And they will win Purdue. So after a 7-0 start, I see them going 3-2 to finish the regular season.
But you had them losing 3 games.
Yes, that's where I got them at.
So you have them going 2-3 to end the season, then, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. Didn't I say that?
You said 3-2. Okay, what's your next team?
Okay, I've got Washington at 9-3.
Okay.
Let's go over their schedule. Okay. All righty. Now they're also going to get off to a quick start. They've got Washington State. There's a win. By the way, Washington State in the new Pac-12 is picked near the bottom, and that means they got all the Mountain West teams ahead of them. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
All right. Utah. They'll beat Utah State. They'll beat Eastern Washington. They'll have no trouble with Minnesota. They'll lose to USC. I think I said that before. They beat Iowa. They'll beat Purdue. They'll beat Nebraska. I think I messed up somewhere. I got them losing to Penn State. I don't think I had that.
Yeah, you did. Yes, you said that.
I did.
You only had,
Okay.
You only had Penn State losing like 2 games or something.
Yeah, 10-2. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you when you said that they'd beat Washington, and I thought, well, it's possible, but go ahead.
Okay. Michigan State is a win. And then they lose to both Oregon and Indiana to finish the season.
Okay. What's your next team?
Okay. Iowa. The Iowa Hawkeyes.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. I got them at 9-3. I did have them at 10-2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is going to be a little bit different because I actually have us beating Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
but Northern Illinois beat Iowa State, beat Northern Iowa, beat Michigan, lose to Ohio State, lose to Washington, win at Minnesota, win at Wisconsin, win at Northwestern, win at Purdue. I mean, win at home against Purdue, and a probable loss at Illinois. And then, of course, finish the season with a win at Nebraska. Until Nebraska proves otherwise, it's a win every year for the Hawkeyes.
That's the way I feel about Illinois. You know, when they really beat us, I'll give them that game. But until then, you know, I don't think Illinois is near as good as Iowa this year. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah.
What's your
Alrighty.
next? So you got Iowa like what in fifth, sixth place, something like that?
Iowa in 6th place.
Okay.
Okay. Next is USC, 8-4.
Yeah. They
Okay.
got a murder schedule.
They
Oh,
do.
God.
They do. And that's just like, that's crazy.
Yeah. But good for Lincoln Riley.
What's that? For
I said
scheduling like that?
Good for Lincoln Riley. You know, you're in an elite school. You should play a tough sched. You know.
Okay.
So
All right. So they'll open the season with a win against San Jose State. Then they'll come back the next week and beat Fresno State. Then they'll beat Louisiana. They will go on the road to Rutgers and win. They will lose at Oregon. They got Oregon at home. They will lose to Oregon at home. But Washington comes to town the next week, and they'll beat Washington at home. Did I say this earlier that the Penn State was going to win that game? Because I got them losing to Penn State.
that's at Penn State.
Yeah, I have them winning at Washington.
Mm-hmm.
But then they lose to Ohio State and at Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
But they win Maryland, and of course they win UCLA. You know, I know that UCLA has a good coach, but they need a year to prove it.
Well, they got a lot of new players, so
yeah. Well, I got Illinois at number 8, 7-5, baby.
And beating our Hawkeyes. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I know it. I had to balance this because I had too many wins on the schedule and not enough losses for everybody. You should have seen it before I went back and tried to balance it a little bit. Okay. All right. Illinois, 7-5. Their schedule's not exactly easy either. I think originally I thought they didn't have any tough games on their schedule.
I think they might start out with Duke again. I'm not sure, but
all right. I may have misadded that because I have them at 7-5 here, but I don't have 5 losses for them. I only have 3. I did something wrong. Okay, UAB is a win. Duke is a win. Southern Illinois is a win. At Ohio State's a loss. Purdue's a win. At Michigan State's a win. Oregon's a loss. Maryland's a win. Nebraska's a win. At UCLA is a win. Iowa's a win, and Northwestern's a win. So I actually only have
you only have them losing 2 games.
I know it. I messed up somewhere. How did that put them on a 7-5? I must have looked at something wrong.
It's because you like Brett Bielema more than you do Kirk.
I do not like Brett.
Pisses
he better
me
not
off.
ever become. He better never ever come back to the Hawkeyes. I will tell you that right now.
Pisses me off.
I'll protest and walk picket lines the day that they hire Brett and bring him back to Iowa.
They always make fun of Kirk because he always talks about, you know, what happened in 1982 and 94 and all that shit and 2002. And Brett Bielema was on the score for like 30 minutes the other day. And for literally 10 minutes, seemed like he brought up Kirk Ferentz every other sentence. You know, it's like Kirk told me when I started coaching for him, when you're coaching it in college, it's where you're at. if you're in the NFL, it's who you're with, because in the NFL, it's all about the talent you have. And in college, it's all about the school that you're coaching. You got to coach to that school. If you're at Iowa, you can't recruit every top player all over the country. But now, he said he talked to Kirk and they agree. Now it's more who you're with in college. Now it's becoming more like the NFL because you can go out and buy players, But go ahead, Dean. Sorry, I
Alrighty,
interrupted.
I got Minnesota next at 6-6.
Yeah.
They were 8-5 last year. Okay. Alrighty. They got a schedule that's not real favorable either. Open up with Eastern Illinois as a win. They have Mississippi State at home, but I'm going to give that as a loss.
Mm-hmm.
Akron as a win. Washington as a loss. Michigan at home as a loss. At Purdue's a win. Iowa as a loss. Indiana is a loss. They will beat UCLA. At Penn State, they will lose, and they will win Northwestern and Wisconsin for a 6-6 record.
Okay. What's your next team?
Wisconsin, also 6-6. I got them slightly improving over the last couple years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's going on here?
Easy, a lot easier schedule than last year. So
yeah.
Open with Notre Dame.
Okay, yes. They open with Notre Dame. There's a loss.
Mm-hmm.
Western Illinois a win. Eastern Michigan a win. At Penn State is a loss. I believe they can beat Michigan State. I got them winning at UCLA, but we'll see how that goes. Losing to USC, losing to Iowa, winning Rutgers and Maryland and Purdue, and losing to Minnesota. Although that Minnesota could be a win because they'll be on a 3-game winning streak going into that Minnesota game to finish the year. So that could end up being a win and giving them an extra.
What's your next team down below them?
Nebraska 6. Okay, I'm sorry. Minnesota was 7-5. Wisconsin 6-6. Nebraska is 6-6.
Yeah.
Dang, dude. Let me see if I can find him. Okay. Yeah, I like to do this every year. We'll do this again as the season gets started. Be more realistically, but this is kind of early season stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, winning. Nebraska wins at Ohio, wins Bowling Green, wins North Dakota. But I almost gave them as a loss.
Me too, but I gave it to them just because they're a Big Ten team. They ought to win.
Yeah. Michigan State's a win. Maryland's a win. Loss at Indiana. Loss at Oregon. Lose to Washington at home. Lose at Illinois. At Rutgers is a win. Ohio State, it's a loss. And at Iowa is a loss. I think their schedule that hurts them more than anything. I think the Big Ten doesn't like Nebraska, so they're just like screwing with them.
The Big Ten, it's like Kirk always says, and nobody believes you, but, Kirk's right. If you play Michigan State and Rutgers, even if they're, 5-win teams or something, it's still you guys show up and win.
Yeah.
We'll see if Nebraska can. They'll probably lose one of them games you expect them to win because of crappy coaching and turnovers. So
yeah. Okay, so Michigan, I got at number 12, 5-7. We already talked about them. Yep. As I do Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got them at number 12, but I believe the magazine has them at number 17. So the magazine doesn't think too much of them.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that they got a good quarterback. I don't know. Yeah. So if quarterback is really important unless you're Kirk Ferentz. Kirk can win.
Here we go.
Kirk. That's why Kirk you got Kirk so underrated as just an above average coach because Kirk wins without a quarterback. Go ahead. Who's your next team?
Okay. Michigan State
Mhm.
at 5-7.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh no, 4-8. I'm sorry, 4-8.
Oh my gosh. That's close to where I got them to. So, what's your next team?
Then I got UCLA 4-8. I do believe that this is a team that will make some noise, but I think they need a year or two to make some noise and get some players in.
Can I tell you something about them?
What's that?
When you follow that R Lads Too Deep on there, that's what I looked at. I'd like to look at it, the week before the season when you really know the Too Deep, especially in Iowa, But UCLA on their starters, our lads always list 27 starters because they list the long snapper, kicker, punter, punt returner, kick returner, right? Out of their 27 starters, what team are we talking about?
UCLA.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is about Wisconsin. Out of no, this is about UCLA. Out of their 27 starters, 26 are transfers.
Oh, that just kind of scares me though when you bring in that many transfers.
And they're too deep. Of course, a lot of them come from James Madison, a la Kirk Signetti. They'd have had another starter probably from James Madison, except two of their best starters came to Iowa instead of going with him. But and in their too deep, 45 out of the 54 are transfers.
Jeez.
Yeah, but go ahead. You were on UCLA, so
yeah, 4-8. Rutgers 4-8. Okay, Maryland 3-9, Northwestern 3-9, and Purdue 1-11.
We come really close, Dean.
Okay.
On where we had the teams.
It's your turn to talk about your team.
Yeah. Well, my teams is I have Oregon and Ohio State tied at the top at 11-1, and that's
so you got them. You got Ohio State winning the Texas game, then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got them. I think Ohio State again spent over $50 million. Both these teams spent over $50 million. It's unbelievable. Even though they spent $50 million each, Ohio State, neither one of their quarterbacks are transfers. And a lot of teams spend a lot of money on quarterback transfers, but Ohio State spent a lot of money on their high school quarterbacks. It's like Michigan's got a non-transfer starter at quarterback, but good God, they paid him $3 million a year out of high school. So anyway,
but wait a minute. Let me say this about that. That's because Ohio State didn't need somebody out of the portal. They have a perfectly good one returning as a starter.
Yeah, but I'm talking about and their backup quarterback's also a high school. Ohio State doesn't take a transfer quarterback a lot because they get a 5-star quarterback every time. Yeah, they get a transfer from Alabama or Georgia. It was Georgia, and they got the transfer from Kansas State for 1 year, Howard. But most of the time, their quarterbacks, they get a 5-star quarterback every year out of high school. Teams like that don't necessarily have to spend the money on transfers. But Ohio State only has, and Oregon's the same way. They only have Ohio State only has 8 starters that are transfers. Oregon only 9, which is very few. The only other team that compare to that's Iowa. As far as projected starters, and the backups are about the same. In the too deep, Oregon's got 14, Ohio State 16, Iowa 17. Difference is Oregon and Ohio State spent twice as much money on their roster because both them teams pay these kids a lot of money out of high school, and then they pay them a lot of money to stay there. But anyway, Oregon's, of course, their two quarterbacks are both transfers. Dante Moore went to the Heisman Trophy deal. Anyway, third place, I got a tie between Indiana and my favorite team.
Hawkeyes?
You damn right.
Alrighty.
I'm letting it out of the bag that I got Iowa going 10-3, but I got them going 10-2 on the season, on the regular season. So,
once we make the playoffs, we lose our first game in the first round.
Yeah, that's what I predict. I have them, predict. It's hard to predict, if you go 10-2, you're going to play at home, but I just foresee us playing a really good, like, who knows? It might be Miami, it might be LSU and Kiffin or something. Maybe I should pick them to win that. But anyway, I got Iowa and Indiana both at 10-2. I'm not going to go through every game and everything. Then I got Penn State only played 3 tough games the whole year, and I got them losing all 3 of them. And Penn State, yeah.
So I thought you said you had Iowa tied with Penn State for third place.
Nope, I got them tied with Indiana.
Oh, okay, all right.
At 10-2. Okay. I think Indiana have a little drop off at quarterback with that Hoover guy, just because he's more turnover prone than Mendoza. But I have a lot of faith in. I think Kirk Cignetti's one of the top coaches in the country.
How do we know that Indiana, the backup Mendoza, won't actually take over the reins this year? Because he looks pretty solid. Did he transfer out?
I think so.
Okay.
He didn't get the start. They brought in a transfer to take his place, and I'm trying to think where he went. SEC school, I think. But anyway, Indiana has both their quarterbacks are transfers. Thank you, Mark Cuban. So I got Penn State tied with Illinois and USC at 9-3. Okay. Penn State loses all their tough games.
Where did the younger Mendoza transfer to? And
then I got USC at 9-3, very good team, but they got a schedule to play. Holy shoot.
Which one? I didn't catch that.
USC.
Yeah, they do. They have a really tough schedule, which is why I don't know why people are moving them up in the top 5 or something like that.
But with 12, it's like I got all these Big Ten teams. I got 7 Big Ten teams, 9-3 or better. And boy, hopefully Penn State is one of them. And I think Illinois would be the other one that they would leave out of the playoffs because of strength of schedule. Ain't as good. Penn State only plays 3 tough games. USC plays like 7 of them. So, and then the next team, number 8, and they're going to be a very good team, is Washington. And I got them beating Iowa, but again, another tough schedule, and it's tough being a West Coast team. I got to say it. Us teams in the Midwest, we complain about going to the West Coast and playing, but it's tough coming back this way. And they got to do it way more than we do, And I took that into consideration. Then next, I have Michigan at 7-5. And I got them above the 7-5 Minnesota because one of Michigan's losses is going to be to Oklahoma. And I have Minnesota staying unbeaten in the non-conference. So that means that Michigan would have a better Big Ten record. Number 11.
Hey, before you move on, this is kind of a USC thing. Michael Moran, he's been on here before, but I think under a different name, because it's USC and they haven't been relevant since Pete Carroll bolted. But the media wants you to think they're world beaters. Yeah, the media is really hyping them up. I will say that.
Well, they sure got, if you stand around and look at their players they got, it's like last year when I said USC is going to be a really good team, and people say, there's just Lincoln Riley, he ain't no good, both their wide receivers are in the NFL now, and they got that Mensa or whatever his name is. That ain't his name, but the quarterback at USC is one of the top quarterbacks in the country,
I'm not gonna lie, we should have beat USC.
Well, we were ahead 21-7, wasn't it?
Yeah.
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 I just
everybody was
game.
jumping for joy at halftime. I get a call from my buddy Nick saying, I take everything back. I said, we're 21-7, we're good. And I said, Nick, they just scored right before halftime. I think the momentum is shifting, and sure enough it did.
I heard Gronk on he was on with the Vandenbergs, and they went through every game, and he said that USC game is just like, he said the field got it just rained the whole game. He said they didn't have any rain all year, and then when we play them, it's raining. He said the field, we weren't used to slippery grass, and he said when we lost 3 offensive linemen in the second half, that's what beat us. He said we'd ran the ball a lot better in the second half, and it was Bo Stevens and Dunker and Pieper that went out, right?
Yeah, but they all came back the next game, if I remember right. Nobody missed a full game.
But that didn't help. That didn't help us beat USC in the second half. That's
yeah.
But Mike anyway,
Mike also says, for the record, he thinks Riley's good. He just thinks the program as a whole is way overrated. Okay.
Yeah.
Move on.
Again, they had the best recruiting class in the country last year, and this year they're doing the same thing. So them and UCLA's having the top recruiting class in the country so far this year. But anyway, we got to get through this because people are going to get bored with me giving my standing. And then 8-4, I got Washington. I said Michigan at 7-5, just above Minnesota at 7-5. I think Fleck's the luckiest coach in the history of mankind.
Well, he had referee help one year.
Somehow he wins a game that he shouldn't, and that's why I got him at 7-5. Wisconsin at 6-6. And I got their quarterback as being the worst quarterback in the conference, and it's not because this Colton Joseph is a bad quarterback. It's because he's being coached at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's had the worst quarterback play the last 5 years in a row of any team in the Big Ten. They're terrible. Anyway, and then it's Wisconsin at 6-6 and UCLA at 6-6.
You have them improving over there. Okay, good.
Yeah, they got all these transfers that played for the coach at James Madison, and I think he is a super young coach. I think he'll eke out a 6-6 record, be bowl eligible. 13th, I have Nebraska and Michigan State tying at 5-7. I don't think I have to go into it too much. I don't think either one of them have a very decent quarterback. And I don't think they have anything. And again, Michigan State's another team that 23 out of their 27 starters at Michigan State are transfers.
Mm-hmm.
And 39 out of their 54 two-deep people are transfers. So they're another big them and UCLA are by far the biggest transfer schools as far as numbers. It's just like you look at the starters like transfer, and then finally you see some guy that wasn't a transfer. Okay, and I want to speed this up. And I had Rutgers tying with Nebraska and Michigan State at 5-7. I think I had Rutgers maybe upsetting one of them two teams to get to 5-7. Schiano's a good coach, and then 16th place, I have Maryland at 4-8, even though they have one of the most talented young quarterbacks in the Big Ten. He just probably doesn't have the real talent otherwise to go with him, especially at the line of scrimmage. And I got Northwestern going 3-9, and I got Purdue going 2-10. Even though this coach, he's in his second season, his team might improve because he's a really good coach. One thing I noticed about this year, every year for the last 2 years, the Big Ten, out of the 18 starting quarterbacks, we've had on average 13 to 15 being transfers, the starter. This year it's only 10 of 24.
Oh,
because teams like Maryland got that really good high school quarterback, and he is really good, and they're sticking with him, and Michigan paid for their high school quarterback. Minnesota doesn't even have a transfer quarterback in their two deep. Them and Ohio State are the only two that do that. So only 10 out of 24 this year are transfers. That's probably just a 1 year happening. It'll probably change.
yeah.
Okay. Of course, Oregon's backup quarterback is Raiola. And the other thing I wanted to point out, looking at all the two deeps, it's ridiculous. What position do you think is the largest percentage of transfers in the Big Ten? Position group. And we already covered quarterback. It's 10 out of 24, which is 5 of 12, which is about 44%. What position group do you think is the largest percentage transferred?
Let me think about that for just a minute. D-line.
You are exactly correct. So many of these teams, like if they have 4 starters, like at Wisconsin, they're all transfers. And then you look at the backups, and 3 of the 4 backups are transfers. It's like that's the thing that, and Iowa could have a lot of transfers in their. Iowa's not a high percentage transfer team, but it's possible that Iowa could have more than half of their defensive linemen in the 2 deep and starters being transfers this year, depending, because we have no idea what the Iowa 2 deep is.
Let me answer these questions first.
Okay.
All right. If Fickle lasts a year, he might be the luckiest coach in. Okay. Who wants to know who we think will be starting for us week 1 at QB? I assume it's QB.
I want Heklinski, but I don't know anything. I have no knowledge because I don't know. Every person I talk to, Dean, that I know people that go to practice and some insight, and none of them say it's just like, and they both say they're both playing good. So that's positive, but nobody says, oh, it's obviously this is my guy or that guy. I just kind of like Heklinski just because he's kind of got this savvy about him, but I don't know anything, so don't pay attention to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's Athlon Magazine. Boy's here. Hi, boy. So here's Athlon Magazine prediction of our 2 deeps. Our 3 starting wide receivers, Reese Vanderzee, Tony Diaz, KJ Parker, each one backed up by Jarrett Bowie, Evan James, and Dayton Howard. Left tackle, Trevor Lauk. I don't think that's a surprise. Cannon Leonard is his backup.
Yeah.
Left guard is Leighton Jones.
Yeah.
Backed up by Will Nolan. Center is Cade Pieper. Not surprised. Backed up by Cale Winter. Right guard is Malinsky. Backed up by Luce Algier. Can't even say, he's a freshman.
Lucas Algier.
Yeah, Allgaier. Yeah, Lucas Allgaier.
He was
He's a
really good.
freshman. By the way, I didn't know that Malinsky didn't have permission originally to come back for his 6th year, but it must have been a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, I mean he had major surgeries. I think he might even had cancer. But you got
Okay.
a comment that you can read to Calvin, or is
Yeah,
it a
I'm gonna
comment
read
that
it.
I'm
I'm
going
gonna
to
read
jump
it.
down their throat or something?
No. Okay. Mike Morin says again, I like Hank, but I know that Heck is more of a Tim guy. We're gonna get there because we're gonna tell you who the magazine thinks the
I
number
don't
one
know.
quarterback
I don't
is.
know about that. Don't you know that Hank Brown's parents went to school with Tim? It's like,
Yeah. I think whoever starts is going to be the one that can keep the ball moving downfield. That's what Kirk says. That's what's Kirk's own words. Whoever starts has to keep the ball moving downfield.
The
So
only edge to Hecklinski there was after Kirk said that, he talked about making Drew Tate, Banks, Stanzi, and Beathard 4 of his better quarterbacks. He said the reason that they did get on the field because of their savvy leadership. Beathard was a leader. Banks was a leader. Banks was just our best quarterback his senior year. That was nothing there. And Drew Tate was savvy. And Stanzi, was his swashbuckler, who, even though he made too many mistakes, Kirk loved him. And when he said that, he said, I like the savviness and a leader. And I just thought, well, I don't know nothing about these quarterbacks. I just thought Hecklinski might have that. Go ahead, Dean.
Okay. Alrighty. At right tackle is Jack Dotzler and Trent Wilson.
Wilson ain't no tackle.
That's what they got him listed here.
Oh.
Wait a minute. Let me make sure I got that right.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what they got him. Okay. At tight end, we've got Vonneman and Ortworth. Ortworth is the backup. Can you believe that Ortworth is no longer a starter?
Ortworth was like our 3rd or 4th tight end last year. Ostrenga would have been the guy I'd have expected him to have as backup. If he's
wait a minute.
healthy.
Maybe I read that wrong. Let me go back and look. Nope, Ortworth. So this magazine is wrong because Ostrenga will be in the lineup.
Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't pay attention to, and you got to understand that these magazines are pissed off because Kirk didn't even put out a 2 deep. So
yeah, I actually didn't know. Mike says I actually didn't know that. He's talking about what you said about Brown's parents.
Yeah.
Helinski is more mobile. What Jason has said on the show before. Yeah. Boy has a comment. Probably Heck, but they should probably have Sully too.
Sully?
Yeah, Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy? Yeah, he ain't gonna.
Jimmy looks like he's having a little bit too much fun going to Mexico or wherever he and Addie went. Oh no, they were in California.
They went back to Addie's home.
Yeah, but there's a picture of him at Newport Beach. God, I'd known that. I might have run down and tried to run into him.
Sully is not. Sully is they like Sully. He's got a strong arm and he can run. He just ain't pushing the top 2, But
okay.
And Lester is not gonna let knowing Hank's parents come into who wins the quarterback job, because if he did that, Kirk would fire him.
Yeah. Mike says again, he goes, "Oh God, I thought that was supposed to be Brendan Sullivan, and I had a mild heart attack."
I thought so too.
Panic attack. I'm sorry, panic attack.
Yeah, we got a way better quarterbacks. Somebody was saying that they thought they agreed with this Senator Cruz that they should only let them transfer once in their career, and then they'd have to sit out a year if they transferred a second time or anything. And I said, Kirk sure doesn't like that. because Kirk says they should transfer every year if they want to. I'm all in favor of it. And I go, do you know why Kirk says that?
Why?
And Dean will love this answer. That way Kirk wasn't stuck with having a quarterback room that was Deacon Hill, Marco, and Rezar for 3 years.
Okay, remember though too, these
Wouldn't
guys
that
are
be
on
awful? Wouldn't that be awful?
but
Oh,
these guys are also on a 1-year contract each year for their scholarship, which
They
can
are
be
now.
yanked. Yeah, which can be yanked every year. But I mean, this was even before.
Used to Kirk always said before that, that these are 4-year scholarships, and the only way you use them, is if you are not in good standing, following the rules and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But with these contracts now, it's 1 year. Unless you sign a 2-year contract like the Washington quarterback did with Washington, and he had to stay at Washington this year. So
and they were going to sue him if he left. I remember that.
Well, that's fair too. You sign a contract, So
yeah. All right, are you guys ready? Drum roll. Here's what the magazine predicts.
Okay.
Quarterback Jeremy Hidlinski, sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Hank Brown is the backup. Running back starter is Kamari Moulton. I think we all expect that. Lyndon Phillips Jr. would be the backup running back.
Yeah. LJ
is he that
Phillips.
good? Because we had a couple of good ones.
He only ran for almost 2,000 yards last year. It's like I sent you that for South Dakota State or whoever he played for. I sent you EA Sports had 3 Iowa players in their top 10 ratings for their video game. And the 3 top players were Loopmer, Voname, and LJ Phillips. LJ Phillips.
Oh, okay.
People say, he ain't even the starting running back. We don't know who the starting running back is. Mm-hmm. We got 4 of the best running backs we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
I just watched the Minnesota and Wisconsin games this week, and then I shared the highlights, I think, to our messenger and on your sites and stuff. And boy, was Xavier Williams a great running back against Wisconsin and Minnesota.
He'll see time, I promise you.
That's why I'll let you in on a little secret. A certain coach tried buying him in December, and the guy's name is Signetti. Because that kid is an Indiana kid. And he sure played good against Indiana, if you remember right. He is a big guy who is fast.
Yeah. All right, let me read. Mike's got a couple more comments. He goes, Mike says, now that you mentioned Deacon, I think I take Brendan Sullivan back.
Yeah, well, I'll take the guys we got. I really like our quarterback room. I got us last year. I rated our quarterback room 12th in the Big Ten, and this year I got them ranked 10th. The Big Ten's very strong at the top in the quarterback rooms. When you got the Oregon Dante Moore, you got Sayan at Ohio State, who just every quarterback at Ohio State, if your name ain't Howard from Kansas State, you're going to pile up unbelievable stats. And, Rocco Breck is a hell of a quarterback, and I got him as the 7th best quarterback in the Big Ten. I got USC's quarterback number 3, Washington number 4. I think I got Lama Leva, whatever his name is, at UCLA at number 5.
Lama Iwanaleva?
Yeah. And then number 6, I got the guy that was just so good for Maryland as a true freshman last year. I can't remember his name. Is it Washington or whatever it is? And his stats weren't as good because he played on a crappy team. But I think our quarterback room's going to be better than last year. We pretty much all we did with our quarterback was run the football. Gronk would get us 60 yards a game running and a touchdown or 2 a game every game running. And I don't know what he averaged. I average 110 yards a game passing.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Okay, I got some more questions here or statements here. Okay, Mike says honestly, just go 1980s SMU Pony Express and run the triple option all game. He goes, I kid. Okay, Hink is here with a comment, and this is kind of directed at me.
Mhm.
Dean, do you stream your lives on Twitter? If so, has it been good with your live numbers for viewers? I don't exactly stream it there, but I go to live. I put the I put on both of my Twitter accounts. I do put it there so that they can click it on and watch live from Twitter. I
Yeah.
don't know how to add Twitter so where I could actually stream it live. I'm
Mhm.
really illiterate when it comes to technology, and I could use some help with the technology.
Me and Dean were born BC before computer.
Yeah. Boy says, I believe he of Lawrence Phillips' son.
What?
That's what he said. I think he's trying to say is Lawrence Phillips.
LJ Phillips is no relation to Lawrence Phillips.
Okay, all righty.
Mm.
Or he'd probably be at Nebraska, right? Because wasn't he at Nebraska, Lawrence Phillips?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he ended up in prison, but I'm pretty sure he did end up in prison. He should have been in prison at Nebraska, but Nebraska was a cheating program under Tom Osborne, and he stayed out of prison. Then he went to the top pick for the Rams and ended up. I don't know if he murdered somebody. I don't know what he did, but that's the
Okay.
Lawrence Phillips story.
Yeah. Hank's got another comment. He goes, I heard it's been very good with Iowa Beat media members. I will say this: our viewership has, since I've been putting it on both of our Twitter accounts or X accounts. Our viewership has gone sky high from what it used to be.
If we have a show that don't get a lot of viewers, we still get, like the last one had 398 last I looked, which was a half hour before we went on. Which is
that's actually one of our bad views now. And it used to be we used to jump through hoops when we got that.
Yeah,
then we started getting in the thousands, and it's like, man, keep them coming.
Yeah, used to. I remember 180. We say, "Oh, we got 180 views." You know, it takes Steve Kraftison or Callie Levine to get us, way up there. But
well, just for the record, both of those guys are hanging around 500 views.
Okay, I don't remember, but
every now and then I repost them when I've got nothing better, so that people can get the views up.
We had one that got over 1,800. So
1,900.
1,900. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Boy says, well, I did read that somewhere. He thought he read it somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably on a
Hank says, does your viewers come during live or after the stream is over?
Way after.
Both. Yeah, we get most of our viewers afterwards, but we've had nights where we've had a pretty decent number of viewers. Right now we're at 19. Tonight.
Yeah,
that's actually we've been quite a bit higher before.
Yeah. If we ever get up near 100 on the live viewers total, when you send it to me and it says 100, that's like, boy, that's a big show. But then we share it and that 100 turns into 1,000. Over a 2 or 3 day period.
Yeah. I want to get it out and live stream it more, but I'm going to have to get some help for season 5. There's a lot of things I want to do. I want to get an audio out there for it. We're gonna change the opening. We're gonna change the opening theme because, like I said, I'm kind of tired of looking at Jordan and Caitlin Clark on my opening screen. I think it's time to move on past them. They're long gone.
I wish T Hink would come on, and then he's good at that, getting it on X the right way, I think. And everything. Yeah. But anyway,
yeah,
somebody
I do want to do that. I just got to figure out how or get somebody to work with me. I've had a couple people say, "Oh, I can do and I can help you with that," but when I'm ready, they never are. So
yeah. One thing I wanted to point out: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of the 18 teams in my view, my estimation, by looking at what high school quarterbacks they signed and high school wide receivers and transfers, 8 out of the 18 spent over $40 million
Yeah.
this last year on portal and high school kids, and retaining, it's like Ohio State when you have Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver, and then you have a high school wide receiver come in that is even higher rated than Jeremiah Smith out of high school. They have a true freshman wide receiver this year. Them two guys, you don't want to know what they cost them. They're well over 50 million because them two guys cost more than 10 million. Jeremiah Smith this year, I know he's getting 7 million, and then you get the best wide receiver that they claim is ever out of high school. He's getting 3 million. It's like, but that's how much money it takes. And Iowa, through my expectations, 1, 2, 3. There's 3 teams. Iowa, Minnesota, Rutgers, Maryland, and Northwestern. That's 5 teams. There's 5 teams at 25 million. And they're the bottom of the Big Ten.
Yeah. So. All right, let me go over this real quick. Some interesting tidbit. Number 1, we only have 6 defensive persons coming back. Does that scare you?
We have 6 starters coming back.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
You said defensive players.
Yeah,
yes,
so we got 6 starters on. We got 3 starters on offense and 3 starters on defense.
Yeah, that does scare me. The only way we overcome that is our coaching. And I know Iowa fans, they like to sit around and complain about our coaches. But I just don't think we have the only coach, I don't like to judge a coach till they're here 3 or 4 years. You know that, Dean, because that's fairness. But I don't know. I think this Polizzi guy, I don't know. I'm sure he's not going to be as good as LeVar his first year out of the box, but he's been with LeVar for a long time. But I just think we have a great coaching staff, that can take these guys that haven't started before, like Seth did with Jay Higgins. You barely missed Jack Campbell. And he's a consensus All-American,
Making a lot of money in the NFL.
Well, Jay Higgins ain't yet, but
no, but Campbell is.
Jack is, yeah. But I just have faith. I have faith in almost every special teams. I don't know, but as far as offensive line, tight end, wide receiver, running back coach, I love Jay Norvell. Lester, and he's got a quarterback coach helping him. I'm sure he asked for that, or Kirk wouldn't have hired him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kelvin Bell and Nick Neiman. Are you stupid? I mean, they do wonders without spending money on defensive line. And Seth Wallace is as good a coach as there is in the Big Ten. And Phil Parker. So that worries me, but not as much as if I was at some crappy coach team,
Okay, so our field goal kicker, they say, is going to be Eli Ozick. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Ozick?
Yeah, that's how you say it, but I don't know. The Burr kid had hurt a muscle in a leg, so we didn't get to see him kick, in the spring.
Okay. But Boston Everett, our punter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jalen Watson, our kick returner, and KJ Parker, our punt returner.
Lutmer will be our punt returner. They've almost said that.
Yeah. Okay, so
Well, these magazines don't know,
yeah, and they're also published early. I mean, we got this magazine in June, and we don't even know what's going on until August.
Yeah. We won't know the real too deep until the first game when
Yep.
we actually see it on the field.
Yep. Okay.
You know?
Now Mike says again. He goes, "We have Phil Parker back." So he goes, "No." As far as the defense, when I say, "Does it scare you?"
Yeah. Well, I would rather have more starters than that, but we're one of the few schools in the country. Of course, Ohio State and Oregon and Penn State can get by it because they're all over $50 million and they recruit the best high school players in the country too and buy them. But Indiana's got great coaching. Iowa's got great coaching that's my opinion. And I don't know everything, but I think that's pretty evident over the last 27 years at Iowa and the last 2 years at Indiana, so.
So this chart, I don't know if anybody's seen it, but you sent this to me earlier today.
Mhm.
Team appearances if the 2014 college football playoff existed since 2014.
Mhm.
Alabama and Ohio State would have 12. But people are interesting. Iowa would have qualified 6 times.
Yeah.
So
That's 6 out of 11 years.
yeah. And and get this, Wisconsin only 4. What does that say about Iowa when Wisconsin totally dominated us for years until the last 5 years? Then we flipped the switch on them.
I know I don't like to repeat and rehash saying the same things every week, but Wisconsin was as good as Iowa or better, and they made a mistake. They got rid of their coach. And it's the truth. It's pretty obvious, right? I mean, when Nebraska should have never got rid of what's his name, the guy that took Tom Osborne's place. I can't remember. Solich.
Yeah.
And then they replaced him with the guy that used to coach at Iowa. And because he only won 9 or 10 games a year, they fired him.
I always thought it was because Iowa beat him that Iowa beat him, and then he had to say we have to look at where Iowa's at.
I don't
compared
remember
to what we were at.
I don't remember us beating Nebraska very regularly until that guy left.
Well, I think we beat him. I could be wrong. I'll have to look it up.
They beat us once.
But I thought we beat Nebraska after they had beaten us a couple of years in a row. I thought we had beaten them in what's his name's last year again? What was that coach name?
Solich's or the guy that they fired?
Yeah.
Which guy?
Oh, the other guy. The guy that got fired for having a 9-win season.
No.
And losing to Iowa.
Don't you remember the AD's news conference?
Yes.
Some reporter said, "Well, we beat Iowa. It was in overtime that year. We just beat Iowa and won 9 games." And the AD said, "Well, beating Iowa's nothing." And then they've lost what, 13 out of 14 years now.
Yeah, they've only won. They only beat us once in that time.
That's karma coming back at you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Pelini, Bo Pelini.
Yeah, Bo Pelini. Right? He coached under Hayden or Kirk.
And they were still pretty.
He was an Ohio State safety when Matt Sherman and Tom Paholski were at Iowa. Sherman was not Matt Sherman, but Matt Rogers. Matt Rogers was a young quarterback, but Matt had beaten out Paholski as a senior. Paholski was a senior, and they had to go to Ohio State, I think, and play. And Pelini was the safety. But anyway.
Well, then after Pelini, it was Riley. Wasn't Riley the one that actually, when they moved to the Big Ten? Not when they moved to the Big Ten. I'm sorry, because Pelini was still coach when they moved to the Big Ten. Isn't Riley the one that they won the Western Division that year? 1 year under Riley?
No. I think
These guys will tell us.
I
You
think
guys will tell us.
Riley.
I know
I
you
think
will.
Riley had a 6-6 season, maybe. But
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, like Mike, was it Mike that said this? Yeah. Mike says he goes, I hated going against Paul Chris as an Iowa fan. That was out of respect. He goes, they should not have fired Paul Chris. I
that was
agree.
stupid. That was stupid. If
That
Barry
was very
Alvarez would have been there, they wouldn't have done that.
yeah. Yep. Barry Alvarez doesn't have his hand on the program anymore, so it's not what it used to be.
Yeah. By the way, the guy that took Chris' spot, Jim Leonard, the great walk-on defensive back for Wisconsin, a safety. He's the defensive coordinator at an NFL team right now. I always follow him, what he's doing, see if he'll come back to Wisconsin and take over the head coaching job. So anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have we let me get my sheet out here. Let me see where we're at.
I want to talk about football recruiting a little bit. This big 10 days of football recruiting. And
Yes, the June visitation schedule. Yes,
we got two of the most exciting wide receivers visiting. One just left, Lawrence Britt from Tennessee.
Hey, stop you for just a second. Okay,
What?
I don't mean to interrupt you, but Leonard's with the Bills.
There you go.
Okay. All right.
Anyway,
Back to the previously interrupted program.
Lawrence Britt, who runs like a 4.340, and he's from Tennessee, and he wasn't too interested in Iowa. And then his good friend, Santi Banez, committed to Iowa on the 28th of April, and Iowa offered him on the 29th of April. And he just got done with his visit at Iowa, and nobody thought he had any chance coming to Iowa. And, it's like he's going to go to Mississippi, and Texas Tech's going to give him a pile of money. Now, this guy is very fast and like a water, what do you call him, a water bug? Just zip on top of the water. He's not a real polished wide receiver. But I watched his highlights, and they'll do like Wetchen, throw him the ball in the flat, and then nobody can catch him in high school. He'll run for a 70-yard touchdown down the sidelines. And the other guy who's even faster is named Conkey, and he's from the Chicago area, and he just ran a 10 to 100 meters in high school to win the Illinois state championship. He visited Indiana, and he's going to visit Iowa. Is it this weekend? I think. Okay. And if we got them too, I wouldn't even know if they were going to take maybe one wide receiver because we got so many now. We're so deep now. But these two guys are so fast, something that we don't have, never had at Iowa, ever. We'll take both them guys if we get them. Conkey is like, I think it's Northwestern in Illinois. He's a very good student, Northwestern. Is like engineering and everything. But we'll have Taylor McCabe host him on the trip, and she's an engineering student. Maybe. But there's a lot of schools offering him offering that Brit a lot of money. And Conkey also visited Indiana, but he didn't commit. And Indiana, some of these schools like Indiana and what was another school? Like Illinois and Missouri, they also had, and Wisconsin, for this Conkey, they had other wide receivers that are very highly rated, visiting too. Mm-hmm. So Iowa can tell them, hey, you're one of the only two guys we're recruiting at the position. If you want to go someplace where they got 3 or 4 others, all Americans, that are higher rated, so that's exciting. Got 3 offensive linemen visiting. Kuhn, is he from Missouri? Tyler Kuhn. He's a 6'3", 280-pound, just rock and granite guard. And he's down to Missouri, Nebraska, and I think Iowa. He was thinking about Oregon, but Oregon has literally gotten like 4 or 5 stars, so they're not recruiting him, but he's really, really good. I'm crossing my fingers that he don't go to Missouri and comes here, and I think he'll come here. And then the guy I love is Caleb Johnson, spelled with a C. He's from Indiana, and he's a 6'5", 280-pound. He can play any of the 5 positions in the offensive line. Great player. I think if we get him, it'll be because of Kirk and the Joe Moore Award and our offensive line coach Barnett. And then the third guy is Cottrell. His mom and dad went to Nebraska. His dad played football at Nebraska. His grandpa played football at Nebraska. All his siblings go to Nebraska. There's like 5 Division I athletes in his family, and they all go to Nebraska. But, all he's got to do is look at it's Iowa and Nebraska. Nebraska's the favorite, and he lives like 30 miles from Lincoln. But he knows the offensive line coaching is crap, and he's like 6'6", 270. He'd be more of a tackle. But if we take 3 offensive linemen,
my thought is why if you're an offensive lineman, why not come to Iowa? You're going to end up in the NFL one day.
Yeah,
and maybe you'll win a Joe Moore Award while you're here.
Yeah, the 2 best offensive line schools are Notre Dame and Iowa, and the next 2 are Oregon and Miami. I can understand losing a guy like John Alt's boy went to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame, it's either Iowa or Notre Dame is offensive line university, So I understand that, but going to Nebraska, I suppose I understand being a legacy and all that. But anyway, and we got 2 running backs, Keon Thomas and the other guy. I want the one from one's from Lakota in Ohio, and the other one's from Indianapolis area, Warrenville Central, is it? And I'd take both of them. I don't know if we'll take 2 running backs or not. And one's coming in this weekend, the other one 5 days later. And the one that's coming in 5 days later is a bigger guy, but they're both very fast. Any other position? Oh, Desmond King's cousin is back on the radar. He supposedly committed to Illinois or Wisconsin and took the money not to visit Iowa. And I would predict that Desmond King paid him a visit and picked him up by the ear and said, you keep your promise and make the visit to Iowa. I think he's doing it this weekend. And I think we have a good chance with him. I don't know if he's a priority with us, but he's a very good football player. He's like Desmond. He ain't fast, but he's a football player. So keep my fingers crossed there. Any other guy? Oh, some defensive lineman, Caskey from Missouri, who people think's going to Missouri. And you just gotta love the tape of this guy. I just listened to Elliot Clough does a great job for 247. I listened to the podcast just before we went on, and like he said, the first 5 highlights on his tape is him blocking punts as a defensive lineman, where he just blows through the line, blows through the guys protecting the punter, and blocks punts. He's like a he's not a Matt Roth. Matt Roth was a linebacker in high school, but he's a Matt Roth type manimal type player. You know, I'd love to get him. And then there's some, and I think now they're talking that Iowa might take 18 to 20 high school kids, even though we only have 13 seniors. But we probably got 3 guys that are going to go to the NFL, or 4, probably 4.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Pieper, Lauk, Lutmer, and Vaname. So, or Vanami. And so that would get it up to 17. I bet we take about 20 guys. And what I want them to do, we only got like 8 uncommitted guys that are scheduled for visits. We aren't going to get all them. So I think what they'll do is they'll keep a watch on guys who committed elsewhere and flip them, like we did Bessinger last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's guys that commit to North Dakota State. They commit to some other school. We'll try flipping them. And then there's the guy that you find during their actual senior football season that really progress and all of a sudden pop up in Chicago suburb, Detroit, Washington, D.C. area, and you sign them late, you know, in the late signing period, maybe.
Well, let me go over this. On3 did an article on needs, but you kind of went over the people like we don't have a running back committed yet, but you went over the running backs already. We don't have a wide receiver committed yet.
I forgot the 4 kickers. The 4 top kickers in the country, they all offered them. I'm sure some of them are going to visit pretty soon. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't know if you mentioned that they're projected to take 1 or 2 tight ends. They've got 1 committed, but they're also going after this Bren Kolar. Did you mention that? That sounds familiar.
Kolar just committed, I think.
Yeah.
Not to Iowa, but
yeah. They look for they're looking for offensive linemen. They need 4 to 5. They got 2 committed. So you already talked about a couple of them. Defensive line, they need 3 to 4. They got a commitment of 2. So linebackers, they got what they needed for linebackers. They need 3. They got 3. They're looking for 1 more defensive back. Levi McKenzie, Daryl Flemister. Sorry.
That's Desmond King's cousin.
Okay, yeah. And then Carl Jones Jr., Tavian Bolton, and Aiden Evans are all guys they're after. We need a kicker. Okay, they're looking for a kicker. Their top remaining targets are Ben Ledoux and Ford Felon.
Oh.
Okay. They also offered 3 kickers: Moses Parker, Ben Ledoux, and Ford Felling. Okay. That's pretty much it. The needs that they're looking for.
I think they'll take. They got one defensive back committed, and I think they'll take at least 2 more defensive backs, maybe 3, because they have a lot of defensive backs on their team. Them transfers that only have, you know, you're going to have to replace them in time. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. I think I don't want to get into the rest of the stuff. It's non-football related. We pretty much stayed with football.
Are we going to talk about Caitlin shortly?
Yeah, let's talk about Caitlin. Okay.
Yeah. What's your view on what's happening?
I think it's being blown out of proportion.
Whether it's just opinion or facts, what do you think?
Okay. I think what's happening is being blown out of proportion. We had a coach who supposedly was yelling at Caitlin for missing a blockout or something. She left her person to go help, but the person they went to help was already double covered, and an easy shot was taken because Caitlin left her place. That's what I was told was going on in that video. And so the coach disciplined her by yelling at her, and then when Caitlin fought back, trying to think, she said no, and then she pointed to somebody else, says, "You're in." You can hear it or see it on her lips. She goes, "You're in." Caitlin gets up, doesn't say a word, lets lets the other girl go in.
Raven Johnson went in, took her seat.
Yeah. Okay, at the time that they pulled it, I believe we were ahead. I shouldn't say we, but the Fever were ahead 8-2, and Caitlin looked like she was going to have one of those nights, and pulled her with about 3 minutes into the game or something like that.
Yeah, they were up 8-2, and Caitlin had 2 assists and a bucket.
Yeah, and then of course, Stephanie White's being questioned because she pulls her starter, Caitlin, the money bucket, the money grab person, the person that everybody came to see in that arena, and and then of course the Portland team goes on a run like crazy, and the team just never recovered from that run at the beginning when Portland took over. They got close, I think, at one time, but Portland I think Portland just took it over.
I think Portland went on a 15-2 run in the 6 minutes that Caitlin was out.
Yeah.
But
people are saying fire Stephanie White and everything. Caitlin came out, and so did Lexi Hall. Lexi Hall came out and said that everybody's making a bigger deal out of it than it needs to be. Caitlin come out and said that she rides with Steph. Steph rides with her. They got each other's back, and she understands that. And Stephanie White said the same thing in her interview, exact same thing. So they may have rehearsed that one together.
It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like you. I don't know. I don't care for, I've always said when Caitlin was here, when Lisa Bluter was here, it was like, they asked Lisa, how do you coach Caitlin? And she just said, you just let her run like that. And I always said, it's like having Secretariat. Just let Secretariat run and you're going to win. Caitlin's not the greatest defensive player in the world, whatever. But I do not understand this moving Caitlin off to the side. And I heard Steph White say, well, we're using, how come you're not using Caitlin and AB on the pick and roll this year? That works so good. And Steph White says, well, we're more using space in the floor and giving AB the ball at the top of the key and letting her distribute the ball. And I thought, AB's pretty good at it, but she's no Caitlin.
She's a post player. She's a post player.
She's a good player, and she's good at doing that. But that seems to take your burst out of your game. Because Caitlin can hurt you on defense, and stuff like that. But if Caitlin gets your team up and down the floor and gets you 4 quick baskets, that kind of cancels out, a slight deficiency in defense. Indiana, to me, the WNBA is the worst run league. And I mean, it's the worst run league in North America. And I even think it's the worst run league all the way down to Pee Wee sports in America. I don't know of a little league that's run worse than the WNBA. I don't. I really don't. Seems like they don't have officials that are good at their job. And I know the officials are in a tough spot this year because they're telling them to call the game completely different than they did before. All that shit. Indiana is such a cluster F. In the Army, you call it cluster F. It's like, this is how they hire their people. It's literally like having Indiana thinks that. And it's like if you had an Iowa team and everybody that ran the Iowa organization only wanted Iowa people to coach and be the general manager. That's stupid. We don't need Marvin McNutt running the football program. Even though he was great at Iowa, you don't need Tim Dwight. You don't need Nate coaching the quarterbacks. Get coaches, get good coaches. At Indiana, they got Lynn Dunn is their biggest person in their organization. So Lynn Dunn has to have her former player, Stephanie White, who might be a good coach. I don't know. But why don't you
She won championships with both New York and Indiana in her previous stint.
I don't know. I don't know any of that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was in the It was in the article about firing Stephanie.
Did she come from New York or Connecticut?
New York.
Okay. But anyway, and I think she was a coach at Indiana for a short period of time. She took over and they did good, and then Indiana started going downhill, so they got rid of her, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But anyway, why do you have to have Indiana people? It's like we got to have Indiana people doing this. Well, why can't you go get Cheryl Miller or Larry Bird or somebody? It's like, obviously, if you want a really good coach, the Portland coach and the Valkyries coach are obviously two of the best coaches in the WNBA.
Obviously,
and they weren't people that you heard of before.
And the players that they got, most of them were no names before. They were players that weren't protected on the other rosters, which means they probably weren't playing a lot.
So what's the percentage? I asked Rick this, and he kind of answered it privately. What's the percentages that Caitlin, when she's an unrestricted free agent in like 2 years, whatever it is, what's the percentages in your guys' mind that Caitlin stays with Indiana, whether they give her a long-term contract this offseason or what? What do you guys think?
I think she stays. My percentages is 90-10.
Yeah. I got it at 50-50.
Okay.
I just think it depends. It's like, I take it back to, and I always compared Caitlin to Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. When Larry Bird was a player for Boston, Casey Jones, great guy as the head coach, and Casey Jones draws up this play and he breaks the huddle. It's at the end of a game, and Larry just says to the players, "No, just give it to me off here in the sidelines." And Casey Jones just says, "Okay," because Larry Bird knew what he was doing. Larry hits a three and they win the game, And Magic Johnson, he wins the world championship as a rookie, and then I think his next year he wrecked his knee and didn't play much. Then the next year he come back and they had a new coach. That Westhead was the coach. He used to be at Loyola Marymount and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to slow everything down. And finally Magic, and they had a good record, 7-3 or something like that. And Kareem liked it because the whole thing was get the ball inside, to slow it down, take your time, give it to Kareem for the hook shot. And Magic didn't like it, so he marches up to the owner and he says, "I'm leaving if that guy's the coach, I ain't." He said, "Get anybody else or I'm leaving." And Jerry Buss wrote him out a 20-year contract for $1 million a year, which was a record at the time, and hired Pat Riley, who was an assistant coach. And Pat Riley just pretty much didn't know what he was doing. And he just said, "Magic, showtime." That's what Caitlin needs. Just let it play showtime. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, I want to just say before we leave, I just got something that I want to say. Mm-hmm. Many of you nationwide heard nationally that one of our local bank branches was a guy went in with a bomb tied to his stomach or chest or something and took the employees hostage.
Yep.
And so I guess there was 15 hours they were inside there. it ended when the FBI took out the guy. They killed him. I wish they would never do that because, to be totally honest, I would like to see these guys stand trial, but they never do. And
Well,
anyway, I just want
if he
to. My
didn't,
son-in-law.
if they wouldn't have took him out and killed him, he probably would have set the bomb off.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to say that my son-in-law worked with a lot of these people. These people, according to the latest stuff that came out, were tied up during that ordeal. I mean, I can't imagine these people being able to go back to work right away.
Yeah, they showed a videotape. He had them tied up and they were on their knees.
Yeah.
So
yeah, can you imagine for 15 hours being on your knees? That would have killed me. That would have killed. I would absolutely died in that situation.
And they flew in the best sniper squad, whatever they were, from the East Coast.
FBI people, apparently.
Well, I'm not.
They're saying the FBI is the one that shot and killed the guy.
Yeah, I don't know if it's SWAT. I don't know what it is, but they flew them in. That's why it took longer to. They wanted the best there and everything. We had a terrible thing where a guy in Muscatine right across the river here killed 7 people.
That was just like the last day or two, right?
Yeah, it was all his family.
Yeah, why did he do that? Did they know why?
I don't know. Why did this guy do it? It wasn't to rob the bank, they said on the news there in California.
It wasn't. There was some speculation that it had to do with that he was being accused of being a pedophile, and he did not like that, and so he was going to take it out on somebody. But the people of the bank probably didn't accuse him of that. I don't know. The stories will come out, I was sure, but I just kind of wanted to end on the note that nobody lost their lives except for the hostage taker, and so it all ended well. But these people will probably be psychologically damaged for a while.
Yeah,
like I said, I don't know. I don't know when the bank's going to reopen. I doubt it reopens anytime soon.
Yeah. And that shit happened. Seems like weekly. In the United
guy's
States.
deranged, mentally deranged. I think
we listen to it more if it's local, like that guy in Muscatine and the guy there in Bakersfield or whatever. But it's just a crazy. We live in the craziest world now. It's
Anyway, that's my bank too.
Well,
I could have been in there doing the transaction when it happened.
You'd have took him down.
Oh my God.
You'd have threw that Chuck Yagla waste wrench on him and took him down, and then we could have heard him testify.
Yeah. Oh, you brought up Chuck Yagla, so that brings us segue into wrestling. Nelson Brands is an assistant coach now at Cal Poly, California. San Luis Obispo, I believe, is where Cal Poly is. He lasted all of one season being a high school coach.
Well, it's probably high school is probably below his pay grade. He's probably really knows his stuff and
anyway, congratulations to Nelson. And when he comes over to wrestle Bakersfield, I will run in and pop in and say hi to him. Okay, I think it's time to get out of here. We got to get out of here. I'm getting restless. My feet are getting sore.
I can tell. Well, I can tell when you're not comfortable anymore. So
yeah. All righty, guys. Thank you for watching. Again, like I said, hit the subscribe button if you made it this far. Leave me a note on the video if you made it this far. If you made it this far, I want to know who made it to the end. 12 of you did for sure. 13 or 12 of you.
A lot of people are just too busy, to watch it live. So
yeah. Yep. And then, of course, like the video, share it.
Maybe
it out. And I don't know what time the NBA Finals got started tonight, but I hope you're able to watch it.
I just don't watch. I don't watch the NBA.
I would watch it if Oklahoma Thunder were still in it, but since they're not.
Well, you got John Johnson's boy in there, even though my whole life, ever since I was a little kid, the Knicks were always my favorite team. But I could care less. Ever since the kind of basketball the NBA plays now,
Yeah, I don't like it either.
I can't stand to watch a player. Every player in the NBA dribbles like Angel Reese. They'll have the ball at half court. They'll take a dribble, pick it up, take another dribble, pick it up, take another dribble, and then not dribble again and take 5 steps and dunk it. It's like, do they call any rules anymore?
Yeah, they don't.
You can't double dribble, young man, and you got a step and a half.
Yeah.
You don't
Well,
have
they also
5
too.
steps.
I think the refs are also told to keep the superstars in the game because that's what people came to see. So, if you got to ignore some things that they're doing, ignore it. All right, we're getting out of here, guys.
Yep.
I want to say peace out.
Maybe
Go
Sunday
Hawks.
night, maybe.
Yeah, we're planning on Sunday night as of now. Peace out.